Are you really? Oh my gosh. Hello, my friends. It's Andy and Leandra.
I'm back.
We're going to go ahead and get right into this, but make sure there's links in the description of resurrectministry.com. That's my wife and I's ministry. We also have home church if you're local and you're looking for just some kind of church that's not, that's not a real church. We have one in our home. We have free food. Reach out and let me know. It's once a month on a Sunday evening, and it's tons of fun. So if you're looking for something, come on over. And then we have Shield of Valor. Go to our Shield of Valor store. We have lots of merchandise over there, shirts and coffee cups and sweatshirts and all kinds of shenanigans. So go there and check it out. And with that, Leander Blades, Placentia-Yorba Unified School District is a hot mess.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We just had a show not too long ago where we went over a lot of stuff. And then, like I said, in the broadcast, there's so much, it's overwhelming. I think on some aspects that's on purpose. If they can just throw as many things out there as possible, you can't focus on one thing. Parents will then, drone out because it's, too much and overwhelming. They go, I don't even want to know what's going on because somebody's crazy. I don't know who it is.
Right.
And then, of course, anytime there's an uproar, it's your fault.
Yes.
And so, but let's see if we can tackle a few things.
Yes.
Got a lot of documents. Not sure if we're going to be able to show them all. We have a timeline and a whole bunch of stuff. Where would you like to start to try to just bring a little bit of clarity to some of the issues that are important for people to know about?
Well, I think one of the first places maybe we should start is Esperanza, because Esperanza is becoming a hot mess over the last couple weeks.
Okay.
And I think it will go to show that the things I'm talking about with the board majority's treatment, and I believe the collusion with employees to file, complaints against Alex Charnas and Gates to try to get him out. Because when you try everything, when you use people and you're using the union and you're using citizens and you're trying to do everything to try to get people out, and then you make this last ditch effort of this complaint, and there's so much more going on in there. And, you have these employment, we talked about Beth Fisher's complaints against Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson, the EEOC is, sustaining complaints and giving right to sues to Alex Charnas and to Beth Fisher, for Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson's actions against them. But then you sit here and go, well, is it just these people? Well, no, it's not. We're going to move on out to Loanne at Esperanza, who is now at Beverly Hills High School. And so this is an email that was shared to me because essentially I was hearing that the union and a lot of the teachers at Esperanza were giving her a very, very difficult time when she started Esperanza. Loanne is very much about curriculum and instruction. And that was one of the reasons she was hired, was needing this strong curriculum, needing better instruction, needing to really up the ante over at Esperanza. And it was not well received. I'm
so sorry.
No, go on.
Bringing education that works and that is good for children, going out into the world after graduation.
Right.
Benefiting them through education in all aspects, reading, writing, counting, how to think, is not popular. Is that what you just said?
It's not popular with some. So, because let's be honest here. She came in, and the scoreboard been, for the past few years before she got there on their field, their football field, it's also soccer field, wasn't working. She gets emails, she gets out there and fixes it right away. There was a lot of things going on. There's I'm sure people know right now that there's investigations going on, but there was investigations going on prior and still, and it's a mess. And so you need people with cojones to go in there and to clean it up. And Loanne, actually, she's very, very tough. But when you have, she has told me she believed it was a couple board members. And then when you have people at the district office harassing you and discriminating against you, and then did you put up the email?
Yeah.
Right. So this is when Loanne got hired at Beverly Hills High School. This is what she responded back to Musarino. And basically, she said that their conversations were that Musarino said she was set up. They were discriminating against her. They were doing these things. People at the district, they were doing all of this stuff. They were harassing her. She did have a hostile work environment. But she should have just known that because Turnus hired her, probably because the board majority under Fraser Youngblood and myself hired her. So it's just expected. So in
Mussolino's telling this to her.
Mussolino's telling this to her.
Yeah.
So in Mussolino's world, he's like, well, this is acceptable because we don't like your politics and we don't like who hired you. So if that's the case, then certain people can be harassed and others cannot. So we go further in this. So I actually called Alan Mussolino and I asked him, and he says, yeah, I told her that because she was set up. Well, his job was to protect the employees. You cannot allow board members to harass, to intimidate employees, as we've been seeing. The superintendent, Beth Fisher, Loanne. We have all of these things going on, all of this type of harassment. And whether board members are harassing through district employees, doing whatever it is, this is what's going on. And he is not protecting it. So that's an employment violation.
Right.
That is an employment violation because he did not protect them. And so I said, well, we need an investigation, but nobody will investigate because that means they're investigating themselves. And so here I am. So today I'm calling for a formal investigation into Alan Mussolino, into possible board members, into the district employees who harassed Loanne at Esperanza. Yeah. And who Alan says, yes, you were set up. I'm calling for that investigation because they think, oh, well, we'll get everybody out. We'll get a new superintendent and we'll just move on. Well, no, you're not just going to move on.
Right.
We're not just going to move on because now we're looking at Esperanza. And when you removed Alex Turnus, who we didn't have, we lost $6 million from the last election to the present because everyone's fleeing because of this board majority and the nonsense that they're doing and their behavior and the stuff that they're bringing into our district. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have to anticipate, certain things going on. And so now we're over at Esperanza, where Mussolino gave his buddy, the reins.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're top heavy in admin. We have a dean of students for a school declining in enrollment. They're taking away French class. And I'm going to say is it was all done when this started. Olivia Young, she's not here anymore, but this is the stuff she was starting. She started the movement violating contracts at OCSCS. She admitted that. Olivia Young is going over to Esperanza and, doing certain things.
Yep. So
you have this going and Mussolino's just standing there, but who's Olivia? He said, no, I'm not doing this. Well, who are you? Who's directing you then? And nobody will answer those questions because we know who's been directing. We had Marilyn Anderson, Carrie Buck, Tricia Quintero giving direction outside the boardroom to so many employees. So here we are, French 1's taken away, French classes. And now the students at Esperanza are having a walkout because they're basically getting robbed of some of their classes. And they're saying the board is, putting money in front of students. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, Esperanza students and the parents that are going through this, you had people over at Esperanza, teachers on duty, putting out, these signs and going out there and campaigning for Buck, Quintero, and Anderson. You had them going for Misty Jansen, putting up signs in front of Esperanza. We saw teachers at Esperanza doing this. And so we need to hold those teachers accountable who are now going around going, oh my gosh, this stuff is getting taken away. They're probably, my feeling is they're going to try to shut down the school. That's what I think the goal is, because I think they're going to try to shut down Esperanza.
So they're removing these classes.
Mm-hmm.
They're harassing employees.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
I have just one question.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing these things? What's the purpose behind doing this?
I think that what happened was when they put in Renee Gray as the acting superintendent after they put Turnus on leave,
mm-hmm.
Renee was going through, they were telling her to do things and directing her and really trying to guide the district. Like I told you in the last one, Anderson and Buck were like going into, meetings of, meetings that we never go into.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just, you could say they're at the district, people were complaining that they're at the district all the time. Marilyn would go at the district, live at the district. That's not what a board member does. You put the person in place and you let them run it.
Right.
And so I think what happened when they put Mussolino in, it was Anderson, Buck, and Quintero running the district, and it absolutely started to completely fail and go downhill. And so I think what happened now is they created a crisis,
mm-hmm.
a false crisis, and now they're in a crisis because of their incompetence. Because Marilyn Anderson, Carrie Buck, and Tricia Quintero have no business running a school district with 23,000 kids. And then when you have people who want to go their own way, like it's obvious Olivia Young did not support OCSDS. She did not support do language there. Did not support these things. She does not support certain people at Esperanza. You do not support this. And when you try to tear it down and nobody's there looking and they're saying, yes, tear it down, tear it down, tear it down, it starts to get torn down. But then what do? Like, you've torn it down and then it's like, well, then what? You have all these employees, you have all these students and nobody's being served. And so so right now you're sitting here and it's just cluster.
Because enrollment's falling because of all these programs being changed. Parents are pulling their kids out because of all these things happening. Now they're in a crisis.
Yes.
And they are so incompetent and unintelligent. They are now doing things that are just going to make it worse.
Yes.
There's nothing happening to make anything better.
Nothing.
Or to stop the madness. It's like when both you and I were police officers. And when we're investigating, and people start to lie, and what we always say is that everybody lies to you. The victims, the witness, the suspects, everybody lies to you. Yeah. But then until somebody tells the truth, they'll just continue to lie with another lie because they're trying to fix the lie that they originally told.
Yes.
And it turns into a big mess. Yeah. And that's kind of what's happening here. It's
yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, you kind of get out, like, you put in this Craig Collins and he was telling the teachers, oh, no, you can teach whatever you want. And Mussolino's running around, you can teach, like giving Jenny Brummer permission to pass out ICE cards, to evade law enforcement and go different than the district curriculum. So you do all these things and then you wonder why the students are leaving, why everything's happening. And then I think you just get so far in over your head because Mussolino had no business being in our district. What I'm finding. Yeah, he was a complete mess. Did
he have some other scandals going on from the last district?
That was the thing too. I was actually shocked when because we just got brought in. We just get brought in and we're told, oh, we're they want Renee Gray out, so they have these interviews. And so you sit here and they have this 1-page interview. Nancy Watkins is person supporting him, who Nancy Watkins gave money to Tricia Quintero and Carrie Buck's campaign. So, you have all this, like, it's just this cesspool. What you have, because they're trying so hard to find people who will just do their bidding. Right. Not anybody who will follow the actual, policy and procedure of being a board member. I mean, this was such an overreach. And then, so then we get, a new superintendent and she sits there and it's like, well, what the heck do I do with this mess? Because it is a mess. But then, then you get a new principal and then they get put into this mess. And then
I'm just sorry. I know because I'm trying to stay on this track.
Keep me on the track.
A track that I can understand. So I'm hoping if I can understand it, that more people will be able to understand it.
Right.
So now we have this new superintendent who's now inheriting
a mess.
The problem is kind of what we have in our federal government is that you have somebody coming in who sees the problems and wants to fix them. But unfortunately, you have a monster in the teachers union.
Yes.
Who will try to pressure her and control her and make moves to defy anything she does that they don't like.
Yes.
Which quite often the things they don't like is the thing that will fix the school district.
Yes.
So, and that includes teachers.
Yes.
A large amount of teachers within the school district who will also fight her. And so that's a huge issue. Yeah. It's a big problem.
It's huge. It's exactly what happened to Turnus. Like, I don't know if people are aware that when Todd Frazier, Sean Youngblood, and myself, when we did Hazard, Young, and Atia, that was a search firm that had never been used before. And so in the middle of our search, Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck called Chicago, where their headquarters, and tried to get our consultant fired, who was running our search. Didn't tell the board majority, didn't tell us anything, but was behind our back going and our search person said that they were bigots and racist. Marilyn kept saying she couldn't understand him, even though the only thing that we could think of was that he is Black. Why can't you understand it? English was his first language. And so our first Black consultant, they were trying to fire behind the board's back. So it was one of those things where it's almost like Mussolino was right with Loanne. You're like screwed to begin with. But this is just the thing that we need to expose is that it's acceptable amongst education, amongst the CSBA and the CTA, that if they don't like you, then, oh, well, we're just going to do it anyways and get you out because we don't like you.
We can destroy your life.
Yeah, we can destroy your life. Yeah. You're not in the old boys club. So we're just going to do this. Because like people said, well, Buck and Anderson, like they were harassing Turnus the second they came to the door, the CTA, because this wasn't their boy. This wasn't their person. And so it's just acceptable to these people. And then, and so now that's why it's acceptable to treat Luann that way. Oh, well, you should have known. But let me tell you, like, what was the fuss when there were actual hardcore evidence of other principals doing really bad things? And then people are just embracing, oh gosh. I mean, don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
So it's just, like it's actually like we're living and also on the small level, we're living it like exactly what goes on at the federal level, but it's just a cesspool. And the thing is that I'm calling for these employment violations. I'm calling for these investigations. I know Dr. Chernus has continued to file claims, and they keep trying to change the date of his claims and deny the claim. And then he's even filed a formal complaint against employees in our district and board members. And they're still refusing to even investigate when they have the obligation to do so. So this is why things don't change, is because if you just have certain people in power, they won't ever, people file the complaints and they just go, okay, we're not going to do this. We're not going to investigate.
Wow.
So
just real quick, I want to remind people to comment. Let us know what you think about what we're talking about. If you have any questions for yourself, just go ahead and put them in the chat. We will do our best to get to them. We tend to go on a long time, so we'll do our best. I'm sure Leandra or myself may go back later and review some of the comments that we didn't get to, and may be able to answer in whatever platform you're responding in. But we would really appreciate the comments. Those are the things that push it out to other people to see it that may not normally see this particular show. That's how the social media works.
So like moving back to Esperanza,
yeah,
you have this walkout by the students on Friday. Somebody sent it to me last night, said, hey, Esperanza students are walking out, and they're blaming the board. And you know what? Yeah, you need to blame your board majority for getting you in this mess, because the way that they went about things, thinking it was the arrogance, thinking that the things that they were doing. I mean, when have we ever been in positions like that? Like, when have we ever been in positions like this? They have got us in this position. It's absolutely insane. And then to jump on this, like, let's jump on our favorite groups. PYLBuzz and Yorba Linda Moms, I'm told, are run by the same people. There might be a few extras on PYLBuzz, but just yesterday, I don't know if you saw my Facebook post. I was on the phone and I was actually texting back and forth with Sonia Shaw, because next weekend in DC, they're going to do the Men Against Women's Sports Supreme Court case. And so we're like, oh, it'd be really cool to go back there and, if we get in and see and stuff. And so, of course, since I'm talking about this out loud, my photo stream starts popping up of the times that I've been in DC in January.
Right.
And I've always told people I love DC in January, like wintertime, the snow, just being there, the Capitol, everything. I love it.
Yep.
So
Beautiful.
These stalkers, like PYLBuzz, first they wished me to their, first they wished me on X, happy Insurrection Day to their favorite insurrectionist. Which, I mean,
what insurrection?
I know what insurrection. I guess I was an insurrectionist again. So, but at least I'm their favorite, I guess. If there's you got to be one, be someone's favorite.
I really like the Buffalo Head guy, but you're number 2 to the Buffalo Head guy.
Thank you. And so so I posted some pictures, of the National Mall, and I guess the National Mall is like off the hook right now. They're doing these like images up there.
Yeah, that was
like,
beautiful.
oh my gosh.
Saw it on New Year's Eve.
So I posted some pictures and I was like, I just love, and it was the same post I did last year too. I love Washington, D.C. in January. So they went on there and took what I posted on there and said, she's celebrating January 6th where people died, where people did this, people did that. Died,
who was a conservative,
unarmed
woman.
Yes. Yeah. A lot's coming out too. There's actually a website, I guess, that the White House is putting out that actually shows fact checks all this stuff that they're talking about with the death. But yeah, so Holly Peach and I is teacher at Esperanza, a friend of mine. The way that we became friends, same way I became friends with Beth Fisher, same way you become friends with anybody else, is our kids go to school together. Like their daughter, my son, they were swimming at Yorba Linda High School together, a few years apart, but they were swimming. So you get to know people. And so she posted a picture of us because we actually got in the Trump rally at the inauguration. It was very, very hairy how we got in, but we got in. And so we're on the floor and she has this white hat on. Yeah. And like a Russian hat on us. I call her Putin, I think. But everybody could see where we were because of her hat.
Yes.
It was a great hat. And so she posted it. So all of a sudden, according to the PYL Buzz, which I think I'll call them the PYL Scuzz.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
But they're now all over going, she's celebrating January 6th. She was there. Da, 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 da. This
You
is
can't
a
post
cult.
about being in Washington.
Can't post about being in Washington, D.C. in
You're
December.
an insurrectionist.
Can't post about being at, an inauguration of a president.
And Yorba Linda Moms too. I got some screenshots sent to me from Yorba Linda Moms.
Oh, so it's in Yorba Linda Moms.
I believe
too.
so. I get so many.
Well, and
I mean,
when
not
you're
to mention.
when you're posting anonymously, you just
Yeah.
post them both. Like if you look at like all through the election, all the stuff that they were saying,
Yeah,
it would go up in Yorba Linda Moms Anonymous and then go straight up in PYL Buzz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think what I saw today, Yorba Linda, was about vaccines.
Oh yeah,
they're not craziness going on.
they're not going to discuss vaccines in Yorba Linda Moms.
Oh no.
I don't want to do that.
Oh no.
We don't want to share ideas and thoughts.
Sorry, I just wanted to correct the record in case somebody goes, that's not what was in our thing.
So, okay, so it wasn't in Yorba Linda, but it was in PY. But so
Yeah.
people are, defending, and so somehow they've come after me that I'm celebrating this. I'm just like, I just love, I want to go in spring to see the cherry blossoms. I want to go in September for the 250th anniversary.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
So there's all these things, but so they start going off on Holly Peach. And then they start blaming Holly Peach on, any teacher or counselor, or anybody who's been moved. It's her fault. It's this, it's that. Like Holly Peach and me, we're friends. And if you can't be friends, and if these people from PYL Buzz, it's such a contradiction, and it's so hypocritical. Carrie Buck runs around with Paula Powers from Rose Drive and that May chick, and all these people. Then runs around and says, "Oh, these are my friends," and people invite him to events, and the union invites just certain board members that like to events, and that's okay. But when I met Beth Fisher because she's my kid's principal, and when you volunteer at the schools, you kind of tend to get to know teachers and staff and principals, and so I get to know Beth Fisher through there. I get to know Holly Peach because our kids are friends, and then also too, she had Carson in her class for 2 years, so you get to know people. It's unacceptable for anybody to be able to be friends in our community because we all live and work in this community together.
Yep.
But it's okay for everybody else. And so you're going to excoriate Holly Peach for accusing her of being at January 6th now, when she was actually just at the inauguration of the president.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's interesting that the teachers union and the teachers that support the teachers union are such hateful, horrible people.
Yes.
It's really shocking. And they're teaching our kids. They're alone with their children in the classroom for 45, 50 minutes. And these women that you brought up, Holly Peach and Beth Fisher, and others that I've seen yourself. But I mean, those two in particular, because you're on the show and you speak out the most, and they're going to excoriate me for giving you positive comments. But I can say that I know both Holly and I know Beth Fisher. They're two of the most intelligent, caring people in our community that love teaching the kids, that care about the kids and their success.
Yes.
And they will stop at nothing, the teachers union and the teachers that support teachers union, at just simply destroying their lives. They don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that the loss of that soul that people have, and the loss of morals when it comes to people within our community that live in our community, that teach our kids, and they just hate them so much. Now they'll say, because I don't like the teachers union, it is a scourge in our country. It is a money laundering organization for the Democratic Party, that I hate teachers.
Right.
I never said I hate teachers.
Right.
I said the teachers union
itself
is a body. I can show you tons of evidence. I'm not making anything up.
Yeah, it's all there, plain as day.
But they will take individuals that actually live in our community. This is the difference.
Yeah.
These people we know, we trust, we see them, we talk to them. They would kindly talk to anybody that's a conservative. They would kindly talk to anybody that's a progressive, and take care of their kids and do what's necessary to make sure that their kids succeed.
Yep.
But it doesn't go the other way around.
No.
At all.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, I just want to go on that little rant there,
because
I just want to talk, because you bring it up this Holly, and they're on this social media just trying to say stuff that's just crazy.
Well, and it's not even true. It's not factual. And that's the whole thing too, is like they would say things about my kids. I'd have teachers going after my kids when they were in school. I'd have, obviously Esther Kim is my next door neighbor, and she's talking trash about my kids, saying they've committed crimes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I don't think Carson could have gotten into the Marine Corps. He'd been committing these
I've seen
crimes. They were
I've seen
accusing him of.
Yeah.
I mean, just certain things like this. But then they continue to perpetuate it. Like, I mean, I think when Carson was in Marine Corps boot camp, somebody went on PYLUSD and says that my son was just caught smoking pot in Esperanza's bathroom. And I was like, he's in Marine Corps boot camp right now. So that would be really hard to do. But I mean, anything that they could do to try to, like, you know, to do that narrative, but then they don't mind attacking kids. And that's the thing too, that you need to understand is that the PYLUSD has people on there that will attack your kids. And so that is what has kept people silent for so long. And I would apologize to my kids and I'd say, I'm sorry. And they say, no, mom, it's okay. Like, it actually shows the adults who they are. When you have the teachers going after them, when you have, you know, certain things like that, because of who your mom and their politics are, it actually, like, it kind of taught them lessons. It's almost like life lessons.
So the same as I don't know why. I mean, you've explained it somewhat, that they created this problem just in the attack of Chernus and Beth Fisher in an effort to bring them down, so that the good work that they did not actually take hold. And then they ran into a problem where they were now in trouble. And now they're lying and doing other stuff that's even worse to try to fix it. They're trying to fix a leak in a pipe with a pitchfork. And there you go. Okay. Okay. This PYLUSD and Yorba Linda Moms and these others who are also active in the destruction of people's, person.
Yorba Linda City Council Janice Lim.
Yeah.
She's saying the same things. She's on these sites.
What is their reason for doing that? Do we know?
Well, what I think is like, if you look at the people behind it, like, they're Democrats and they have a different way of thinking, but, you know, they get in with, you know, you get a Yorba Linda City Council member like Janice Lim who gets in and wants to try to, you know, run politics. And, you know, I don't listen. My thing is I don't know if I think I've said this before. Janice Lim was trying to run me, Sean, and Marilyn when we first got in. Marilyn went to the other side, but then she kind of tried to run me and Sean. And I mean, Janice Lim was a community member. That was all she was. And she was an elected official, nothing. And she was trying to tell me I wanted to bring back middle school sports, had all these plans. She kept telling me to give it to Sean because Sean wasn't as, you know, vocal and as popular as me. And he needed something to work on. And I said, no. And then there was a time when she called me racist because she said that there was Asian hate going on and she wanted me to denounce it from the dais. And I called around to some of the local law enforcement that we know. I said, is Asian hate a thing? And they go, no, this is totally perpetuated by the media. It's just one of those like stupid things that they're trying to push the Black Lives Matter stuff. And then they move on to the Asian, you know, they go, it's just one of the things they keep moving on to. And I said, no, I'm not finding the statistics that there's this huge uptick in Asian hate. It is perpetuated by the news media. And I said, and if I go out and I start to decry everything, I'm going to be after the dais all the time saying, oh my gosh, I denounce this and I denounce that. So she told me I was racist. She said I was racist for not doing that. And okay, I'm racist. So that was kind of the end. Ever since then, she's really been upset with me for that. But, you know, like, she helped me get elected in 2020. And I think she was always hot and cold with me because she said I was a little Trump-like. Oh, well, sorry.
Same color hair.
I know, huh? But you know, so it was just kind of one of those things where she wanted puppets, you know, like when she was trying to run a kid just to graduate 2022. Yeah. She had tried to run a kid in 2022 who had just graduated Valencia High School. And he was from the LGBTQ community. And the question everybody's asking, because you have Todd Frazier and then you have this kid she's trying to run. And so she's trying to get him, you know, endorsed and getting all these things. And so we said, why would you run this kid? Like, he just graduated high school. He doesn't own a home. He has no kids. Like, oh, well, the school board needs more LGBTQ representation.
Why?
I don't know. But so these are the things that, like, you know, she's pushing behind the scenes and she's doing behind the scenes because she has a certain agenda. But like, people have told her, even her own council member said, why are you so focused on the school board? Like, you could have, she lives in my area. She could have ran for school board. She chose not to twice. So, you know, but then she wants to, you know, lie and say all these things. It's like a hobby. Yeah, it's just very strange.
It's a hobby.
Can you imagine if we like created a group and like we started like meeting people in the community and said, you know what? the city manager is corrupt, and there's this, and people at the city hall, they're terrified to come to work because they're terrified they're going to be fired. And like the Parks and Rec is flooded. And, you know, like there's this, I mean, can you imagine if we just did this? It would put the whole city in disarray. Well, Janice Lim has done this to our school district because she wants to find different candidates that align with her beliefs rather than just tell the truth. Like if I do something wrong, okay, I'll admit it, tell the truth. But I don't believe I haven't done anything illegal. I haven't done anything wrong with the schools. I have just gone forward with the students first agenda. You know, I'd rather spend $1 million on an innovation lab, you know, for OCSCS and to, you know, create more programs for students than to spend $1 million on the nonsense that they've been spending money on adults and spending and not gearing money towards kids. And so I think that Esperanza students are finally seeing that. They're finally seeing that, like the board is doing this. Well, this is who your teachers were pushing. The majority of those teachers, Esperanza, even though the parents in Esperanza, that's Todd Frazier in my area, they're voting us in. And then they're saying the teachers are sitting there going, why do we have declining enrollment? When Esperanza teachers go on the PYL buzz and absolutely spew hate towards conservatives and talk the way that they do about Todd Frazier and I, and they create the problems and they're foaming at the mouth in board meetings. Like, I mean, I thought one was going to like leave her chair and start coming towards the dais. When you do that, your parents in the community are not going to send their kids to school there.
No,
it's not going to happen.
That was my favorite part of the PowerPoint presentation when the woman was giving it a few school board meetings ago about the declining enrollment. And she has the graph on there that we've showed in the last show. And that was this, you know, it's constant down. Dr. Chernus becomes superintendent and it flattens out and was on the increase. And then they illegally suspend him, and investigate him and Dr. Gates, and it drops immediately. And she's looking and she goes, we're not sure why enrollment is declining. And I just like, it's right there.
I couldn't believe it.
It is right there.
Yeah. It's right in front of everybody.
Well, like the superintendent was focused on education. Enrollment flattens out and begins to increase.
Right.
You have people that could care less about education and more about their agendas, and it declines. Let me think why enrollment is declining.
Well, and then too, like, I don't think that it was like you have a man who is in charge of, you know, the finances for the LA County Board of Education. Like, it was like, how many billions or trillions of dollars was he in charge of? 70-something school districts. And he's able to do that successfully for years without, you know, without pause, without controversy, without anything, you know. But then you have, but then he comes to Placentia-Yorba, Linda. And suddenly Marilyn Anderson, who probably doesn't even balance her household budget, is suddenly saying he's doing X, Y, and Z. I mean, you know, that's just the insanity. And they're willing to destroy these people's lives. And it's crazy just because they don't subscribe to the CSBA, to the CTA. And they're not in the, you know, they're not in this superintendent search firm, old boys club that we're finding.
Yeah. So we have this timeline. Do you want to
let's
start tackling some of the timeline and see if we can get through this in another 30 minutes, you think?
Yeah. And then I'll tell you at the end about the calendar.
Okay. So October 2024.
Right. So we have a timeline because people were like, oh my gosh, there was so much information that you guys shared, you know, like, so what was the timeline of events that you guys have made sequence about what actually happened? So October 2024, Marilyn Anderson, the APLA president at the time, Linda Mannion, Richard McAlinden, and the PYLUSD Truth sent public information request to Palos Verdes, which was Dr. Chernus's original employment, asking for information on on a confidential investigation of an employee who was overseen by Chernus in Palos Verdes. The interim superintendent who started the investigation was Doug Kimberly. Doug Kimberly is a CSBA person. He works for
California School Board Association.
California School Board Association. He works for Education Support Services. He likes to go around hiring and giving boards. You know, he was like another, I don't know if Mussolini necessarily would hire people, but they like to tell boards how they should conduct themselves. So the investigation was started by Doug Kimberly. Turnus had told me that when Doug Kimberly went to take over, because he was filling in as the interim superintendent for Turnus, he said that he goes, "You're really going to Yorba Linda with that crazy MAGA Leandra Blades?" And Turnus says, "Well, then, yes, I am." And
so CSBA, just so people know, is it's a CTA.
Yeah,
just a different organization
for school board. It's like a union for school board.
California Teachers Association.
It's a political lobbyist organization.
Right. Just want to make sure
we give $35,000 in membership fees for them to go lobby against parents in Sacramento and to support Gavin Newsom and the California Teachers Association.
Okay.
So the question I had immediately with this, when this was all done, was Turnus and even the person who was involved. Like, Turnus wasn't involved in the investigation. He was just a superintendent at the time. So the employee who they actually investigated, Turnus had no idea that investigation was going on, and neither did even the employee. So the employee had already left Palos Verdes.
Oh, wow.
And Doug Kimberly started an investigation off of an anonymous phone call or complaint. So you have them, Palos Verdes is now wasting money on an investigation conducted by Doug Kimberly on employees who are already gone. I'm sorry, an employee. So the employee, so she's somewhere else working. Turnus, who is superintendent, overseeing, the executive cabinet, so they launched an investigation. So it's all confidential. When Turnus found out about it, and they actually said, "Well, you oversaw this, so of course your name's in this. It didn't, you weren't investigated." Mm-hmm. He goes, "What are you talking about? Like, I was never even, he knew nothing about the investigation." So they essentially open an so this is how shady the investigations are. So for later, how the investigation of Turnus and Gates happens, mm-hmm. is how shady it can be. Is you have people being investigated who were never even given the right to defend themselves. Mm-hmm. And then they do this thing. So
I'm sorry, let me get this straight.
Okay.
But Marilyn Anderson, APLE president, Linda Mannion, Richard McClendon, and PYLUSD Truth, mm-hmm. sends in a PRA
on a confidential investigation that the public and even people didn't know about. So how did they know? Doug Kimberly was a superintendent. So hold on. So we'll keep going. It'll all start making sense. It'll all start making sense in a minute. So then we're in this October realm. Dennis Smith, former superintendent, Placentia-Yorba, 2012. He brought the cab bonds, the lovely cab bonds to our district.
Great.
He is now, I think, at Leadership Associates, which is a superintendent search firm. He endorses Misty Jansen. Doug Domini, former PYLUSD superintendent, he endorses Misty Jansen against me. So you have all these search firms and you have all these ex-superintendents starting to endorse my opponent because they don't like Alex Turnus. So then October 2024 comes. Carrie Buck, Marilyn Anderson have a private meeting with the complainant who filed against Turnus and Gates. That was revealed in a PRA. So then we start moving into November. November comes, I think it was the 14th. I'm not exactly sure what the date of the board meeting was. David Radler, the day of the board meeting, tries to come in. We were doing the supermajority vote that night for the contract.
He's just a union activist out in
union activist. He says he's
former teacher.
I don't know if he's a former teacher. He says he's an attorney. I have no idea.
Okay.
So, but he's a Democrat supporter. He's been in all of Marilyn Anderson, Tricia Quintero's, stuff, walking around. He files an emergency temporary restraining order to prevent the vote on the contracts. And so the judge rules against him. And so the people who were in support in there was Matt Wilkerson, Julie Sucard, Esther Kim, and I think there was somebody else. So they're all sitting in there, and when it was all done, I think it was really funny too, because when I came walking down the hallway, mm-hmm. they were very shocked and very uncomfortable that I'd shown up. But I thought, how many times have we gone to court? Like, this is, so I sat in the back, the court ruled in favor of our board, and, I left. Mm. So we put in the supermajority for everybody, not just Turnus, Gates, the whole cabinet, because it's becoming very apparent that we have CTA, we have the CSCA, we have outside agitators, we have all kinds of people who are really gunning and trying to create, this whatever this was going on.
False narrative.
And they're really it was just a crazy time. And El Sasser and Mike Matthews, they'd had a supermajority. And so Turnus was the one who in, succession who didn't have the supermajority. So we put it in. So December 13th, Carrie Buck emails, and she presents a contract for the former controversial attorney Todd Robbins from Atkinson, Anderson, Loya, Rudd, and Romo to be hired as board counsel. Her request comes too late. You have to submit 10 days in advance of the board meeting. So she accuses Turnus of insubordination. He won't violate board policy and procedures. Anderson then emails and says, put him on the agenda. But you didn't have, if the majority of the board will agree to put it on, then you can put it on within the 10 days. But they didn't have that because it was still Sean and Todd and myself. So then Buck threatens to call a special board meeting to hire the attorney. Oh, why do you need? And that was the whole thing too. We're sitting there going, why do you need? And so it was this time that an AA, the same firm, law firm, Todd Robbins, there's another employee, from AALRR, who works in the superintendent search firm side, ESS, Education Support Services. He starts calling around and he says that there's going to be a bomb that drops in PYLUSD that has to do with a hostile work environment. And it's just going to blow the place up. But he says the employee, the complainant, is waiting for the board majority to change and the attorney to change. So he knows this. They're trying to hire this law firm. And we have Mike Matthews, who works at this law firm, who's our former interim superintendent.
Yes.
So we move on.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah. So we move on. December 17th, Marilyn Anderson lies to the community about HR complaints and violations regarding Alex Turnus. She has sustained complaints. Everybody knows that. It's also revealed and confirmed she lies to the community about her campaign information that $1.9 million was diverted from a non-existent Valencia kitchen account to the Universal Sports Institute. They confirmed that was false, not true. The Valencia kitchen wasn't even voted on. I think it was voted on after the election. So they say this isn't true. So that night, Turnus says to me, he says, she continues to lie and she continues to try to, harm my reputation. So that next morning, he files a second hostile work environment against her.
Okay.
So December 18th at 4 p.m., Anderson calls a special board meeting to place Turnus and Gates on leave and to hire Todd Robbins from AALRR as board counsel. And this was after the complaint against her was filed by Turnus. So this is clear retaliation. And this is clearly part of this whole plan that they had, to put him in place. So on December 19th, Anderson brings forward confidential employment documents that she obtained from Elaine Marshall from Legal Services in violation of board policy and procedure. You cannot direct district staff. I called Alex Turnus. I said, did you give permission for these documents to be superseded, not to follow policy and to go through HR and then to go over to our workers' comp attorney, and then it gets reviewed and then it gets sent back, whether you're supposed to deny a claim or approve it. And he says, no, I haven't done that. So not only did she give the complaint, Marilyn didn't bring forward the complaint about her. She let that go the proper route. But she brought forward 2 additional complaints as well that had already been investigated, like things that just weren't making sense. And so we had 3 confidential documents that was released to her in violation of policy, procedure, whatever.
Wow.
And so, then I will just say it was blind and closed session because Marilyn was presenting. We had nobody. Usually when you're presented with claims, you have people who have knowledge of it. And they say, hey, this attorney suggested this, or this is this. So you have people who are there explaining things to you so you can make a decision. That was absolutely gone. We had Todd Robbins, who just been hired 2 minutes ago. I believe he had the documents with him, but I said that you were basically in violation of all kinds of things if you have our confidential documents on your iPad when you were not our attorney up until 2 minutes ago. So that's kind of where we went. So it's revealed as I get out of closed session and they do their thing, it's revealed that Doug Kimberly is in the boardroom because people are texting me, and I'm not really looking at my phone in closed session, texting me, who's Doug Kimberly? Who's Doug Kimberly?
This is the man from
Palos Verdes.
The very first thing we talked about. Okay.
And and so then they said, there's a guy named Doug Kimberly in our audience who is telling everybody that he's going to be the next interim superintendent PYLUSD. So I've said to them, what are you talking about? Like, we haven't even taken a vote yet, and he's back there saying he's the next interim. So he either knew all 3 board members, which is a Brown Act violation, had already secured this, but then it comes to find out that Anderson had contacted all kinds of people for the job and was offering the job. She contacted Mike Matthews, again, our interim super from the same law firm that they just hired Todd Robbins. So she's calling around doing all these things, direct violation of everything. So I keep saying, investigate, investigate, investigate. And they won't investigate themselves. Nobody will investigate. So then December 20th, the next morning, I make phone calls and they said, this is violation of employment law, board policy procedures. You have employees violating protocols by giving confidential information. I actually emailed Elaine Marshall and asked, like, how did this happen? She doesn't want to respond, but then she went and she told the complainant that I was asking these questions because I was told, hey, you know, like this happened. So you might just want to just email the acting superintendent because they're talking about, you know, your questions. So I asked for a special board meeting because now we have all this information and all of this stuff was done in violation of employment law and I just get ignored, no special board meeting, nothing, because Marilyn Anderson won't call it and Tricia and Carrie won't do it either, because why would they want to discuss things that colluding with an employee to file a complaint is fraud on your district. Absolutely. There is hundreds of thousands of dollars on fraud and money that was spent to do this Christmas coup, as I call it. And as we dig deeper and deeper and deeper into it, you keep seeing that this is happening. And so I'm calling for an investigation into this again, because you just can't move forward on this because it's going to keep happening.
Yep.
If this new superintendent, which she has the same concerns Chernus did. She's seeing the same things he did. She needs to make changes. She needs to do all these things. The second that she makes a false move, what are they going to do? Are they going to fire her too?
Yeah.
Is there going to be what is next? Is there going to be Easter coup?
They're never going to stop because so far everything that they've done essentially has worked.
Yeah.
They were able to get rid of Chernus, although he's taking some actions that are being ignored. And you got Gates, who's still suspended.
Gates actually, he went off to Beverly Hills.
Oh, did he really? Oh, good for him.
Gates landed. Yeah. He had to deal. I mean, during this whole thing too, you know, you had board members accusing him of working under, and that's the thing. They were accusing him. We had board members accusing Chernus of paying Gates under the table in violation of law and working out in Beverly Hills. Gates had prostate cancer. Gates was at home dealing with his own medical issues. Right. And so, but they were accusing, like, they couldn't stop. There was just such hate and whatever it was towards Chernus and Gates that even when they're gone, they're not even in this thing anymore. They're still concocting things. PYLUSD was still talking to them. I mean, Marilyn, Tricia, and Carrie are all on the PYLUSD.
I just remember Gates and Chernus were never found to have done anything illegal, anything wrong.
No charges filed. I continue to say this was the biggest BS witch hunt investigation I've ever seen. But the thing too is that nobody will hold them accountable when they're violating all of these things, you know?
But this is what I'm saying. They're horrible people, because it's not just, let's say that they made up some crime that they committed.
Right.
They don't just stick to that.
Right.
They just pile on and want to make sure and destroy their lives.
Right.
They're disappointed that they found other jobs elsewhere.
Right.
They didn't. They want to destroy their lives so badly that they couldn't work anywhere else.
Right.
For no reason. There's nothing that they ever did, or nothing was ever found that they did wrong.
And you see, though, this is so interesting to me is Doug Kimberly is the person who knows about a confidential investigation of Palos Verdes. And suddenly Marilyn Anderson knows about a confidential investigation, is PRAing it. And then Doug Kimberly is seriously sitting in our thing, and she wants to, they want to hire him. I mean, it's just like, it's a cesspool. And too, and these are the people who obviously they're trying to affect elections. You have Doug Domini, you have Dennis Smith. They're all working for these superintendent search firms. And so they're all trying to endorse. They're all making phone calls. Hey, you really got to vote for this, because they're actually, we're trying to get Chernus out. So you have this huge network of people who this is not their boy. He doesn't really care about the CSBA, CTA, whatever. He doesn't support them. He just does what's best for kids. And so these are the people. You have the Dennis Smith. Doug Domini, I think, is over at Hope International, and I remember too, he would always have El Sasser, Lopez, and Linda Adamson going over to Hope to sit on panels for, teachers and, stuff that was having to do. So, I mean, it's just an old boys club,
right?
Like you wouldn't believe. But then when you actually, there's so much more here. And then you start to look at, okay, at Palos Verdes, like they're doing this stuff. Like what else is going on? Is it just our district or what else is going on? What else is being hidden? You go to Newport Beach. You have a board member at Newport Beach who, after she was sworn in, I think as board president in 2022, she has some type of DUI hit and run, and it gets hidden from the people. And people are telling me from the board that Costa Mesa PD wasn't even like on the up and up with them. Like all these things are happening.
Wow.
So you have all of these, I mean, and you can guess what side she leans on. Yeah. And so she has these protections, but
Carrie Buck's friend over Brea Linda gets arrested for child molestation.
Yeah. I mean, all of these things, and things get hidden. Yep. Like they hide it. But like you have, if it's happening in our district, and then you have all these players coming in who are going out, like these guys who are trying to affect our election by endorsing my opponent and trying to go in that way. People are hiring them to put superintendents in to their districts. Like it is a cesspool.
Yeah.
It's a cesspool.
Okay. What's next on our time?
Okay. Sorry.
No problem. I took you off.
Okay. So, so I've called for the investigation. So basically where we're at, I've called for the investigation, into Dr. Turnus and all these complaints. We still don't know if they're going to investigate. He turned in a formal complaint against, a couple board members and employees in our district. There's been no sign that they're going to start an investigation. So I'm calling formally on all of that today, that we dig into what happened and we investigate the stuff from December of 2024. And we investigate the law firm, we investigate the attorney, we pull phone records because I think the phone records are going to be key. We do all these. And then we, and then we do the same thing. We investigate Mussolino. We investigate why our board majority is allowed our superintendent to allow the discrimination and harassment by district employees of one of our principals, which caused her to leave.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
So there's more. I mean, but there's more. But this is like the actual key things that got them there. And then of course Todd Robbins, as much problems. We've had illegal contracts we found in 2021 and 2022, all these problems that Todd Robbins has brought to our district, with just nonsense. We have him, in my opinion, I should say, right? In my opinion, we have him who's going out giving speeches to, about transgender, whatever he was, giving speeches to. We have him choosing the investigator to investigate all of this stuff. And I believe he was brought into all these closed sessions because he was there to stop any type of thing. When me and Todd were going at certain things, things were just getting shut down. He was protecting them. So because let me tell you, one of our other attorneys is appalled. He goes, this would never have happened. Like I could never have advised, and I would have to come out and basically say, what you're doing is illegal and I can have nothing to do with, my name can be nowhere near this. Right. But then you have Todd Robbins from A go, oh, everything's great.
Something with somebody with ethics does.
Yeah.
Wow. Volleyball courts at Esperanza, those ever get?
So back to that. Yes. So back to Esperanza. Yeah. So we had before, because it was on my campaign, like I had a true campaign. My campaign literature was actually true. I didn't post lies.
Yeah.
And so we approved volleyball courts for Esperanza and Valencia, and they have stopped that. And so basically the volleyball courts are on hold. But let me tell you that at Valencia Kitchen for $6.7 million that adults can work in, that's on the thing. And
is it 6.7 now?
6.7, I heard.
Oh, 6.3 was my last figure. It just keeps going up.
It just keeps going up.
We may be at $1 billion and call it the Leering Kitchen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. But yeah, so that's another hit at Esperanza. And then another thing too is somebody told me, and it was the same person who was, working and kind of going after Esperanza and OCSCS. She goes, Valencia doesn't even want outdoor volleyball courts. And I said, excuse me? So, it's good to know people in the community that play volleyball at Valencia. Because I texted, I said, do you guys don't want Valencia outdoor volleyball? They go, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, okay. So yeah, so that is a board approved action that has been put on the back burner, and the board majority, creating positions at Esperanza for administrators, because we need a dean of students suddenly at Esperanza. Yeah, so that's been put on the back burner, but they continue to pump up Valencia. They continue to pump up other schools, but Esperanza, for some reason, I'm just going to say it, because something needs to be done. They're trying to close Esperanza. They're trying to close that down. When you're taking AP classes away, when you're taking all kinds of, the programs away, and they're going after OCSCS as well, because OCSCS was supposed to feed in Esperanza. And so that was why Olivia Young kept trying to push the dual language over to Tuffrey, because Tuffrey is going to feed into El Dorado and Valencia. So I think that was part of their master plan. But to get rid of Esperanza, I mean, everybody knows Esperanza. Like when I played travel softball in high school, I played with Esperanza people. I mean, and Esperanza was like the revered softball place. But
I think Esperanza was the only school I knew before coming into the Brea, Yorba Linda area when I moved here.
Yeah,
I only knew really about Esperanza.
Yeah, I only knew about El Dorado because my catcher, we had an outfielder from Esperanza on our travel team, and then my catcher was from El Dorado. So, but yeah, so I absolutely believe that they're trying to demolish and close it down, so these teachers who supported, they supported the board majority. I mean, I don't know what to say.
For them.
I don't know what to say. Like, it's kind of like a, we told you so moment.
So the beach volleyball courts are at a standstill.
Oh, yeah.
Charter schools. I think we talked about last time. I just want to revisit that.
Yeah.
How many charter schools do we have possibly moving into this area?
So we have Magnolia that's here now. The CRLA is doing the prop request for space. And there was additional homeschool charter school that's going to petition, I believe, as well. Yeah.
Will those be PYLUSD controlled, or those are going to pull from the enrollment?
It'll pull from enrollment. And so that's the thing, is we try to tell you, OCSCS. I mean, we wanted to go, like, the whole plan when Turnus was here was we wanted to start, because AI and the tech stuff, the innovation, we wanted to create that. And then we wanted to move over, because obviously they have a very, very, we have the USI, and USI doubled in enrollment from, from when it opened. But then also, like, Santa Ana has a very, very good performing arts. And so that was kind of going to be the next one, was like, do we have like a performing arts type of, like, not only just a pathway, but like, do we really bump that up? Because that's a big thing right now. And like, give these parents, do we do a sciences? And so it keeps people here, but the union wanted no part of it. And somehow the thing too is they kept saying that by creating charter schools, or we're trying to divert money from public school to private school, which I don't understand how you do that. So, I mean, some of the things are so outlandish that you sit here and go, you are probably high right now.
We see a huge contrast between Dr. Turnus and Dr. Gates, who are forward-thinking, intelligent people who are putting children and families first. As opposed to people who tear down what is good and then are responding to chaos in a hodgepodge manner. It's just two different styles of running a school district. You could never run a business this way.
No.
The school district would have been out of business
a long time
ago. And there would have been no saving it. You have people that have no understanding of meeting budgets and fitting within the parameters of the goal,
right?
And making sure that you're always reaching for the goal and improving things so that you can continue to have more enrollment. In other words, customers.
Yes.
You have to run things like a business. What is it that's going to attract parents to bring your kids to the school? They don't understand that.
No. And as you continue to tear down programs at Esperanza, you're going to lose more and more.
Mhm.
And then as you continue to tear down, certain things, and people, I met with someone yesterday, and, they're big in like the charter school world. So we always kind of take notes from, I kind of, what's happening? Like, what's the word on the street?
Yeah.
And we're losing more and more because like even our sports stuff, like our sports programs are going to start not being able to keep up. People don't want to play sports in our district anymore. And so they're going to the private schools, or they're just, staying straight into travel, and they're doing the homeschool route. So I think we just have this, or we had, because I do think Dr. Kim is a forward thinker, and she does have ways of like, reimagining high schools, and she has a lot of good ideas. But when you have this mess to clean up, like look at the calendar. Who in God's name started the calendar mess? Well, we know it was Marilyn Anderson.
Mm.
And I think it was Carrie and Tricia as well.
Yeah.
And then Carrie got so much backlash. She tried to backtrack, because you'll see she's like, oh no, I'm not against it. And then when the final vote came, she was against it. She was for it again. So, but like, who put it on there? But then now, so with the calendar, people have been asking me questions with the calendar. So we're moving it back 2 weeks, but then we're surveying everybody in the community, all the school and parents and everybody. So we're sending out a survey. What do you want? And so if people want the original start date, then if that's what the consensus is, then the following year, they're going to move back to the original start date.
What?
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I kept sitting there saying this, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Why don't we just leave it alone for a year? Leave it alone. Don't change it. Do the survey, and then you can just change it. But then, like, the superintendent said, hey, if you guys are going to change this, then you have to know that you could possibly change it back. And so that's where we are. Like, that's the type of lunacy that I'm dealing with. And all because Marilyn Anderson said she won't tell us who the community member is. She won't show us an email, but some community member wanted her to put that on the agenda. She refused to put girls, boys and girls sports on the agenda when I asked. She's refused to put all kinds of things on the agenda. But my gosh, some anonymous community member wanted it. So there it went.
So I think you kind of answered this question, but Corinne wants to know that is PYLUSD going to do anything about the boys and girls sports in bathrooms? What is the status on that? What's going on with the pride flags in the classrooms?
So as you know, next week, the 13th, which was my whole Washington, I was really trying to get to Washington, D.C. next week, but I really couldn't find a good flight. And then also to my one son who's in the military, I think he's been gone for a few months, undisclosed location. So I think possibly he could maybe be coming home, maybe not, who knows. But so it's kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, I got to be around, for him. But next week on the 13th, the Supreme Court is hearing 2 cases on men and women's sports, which should have a national impact, based on this decision. And then I would also say too, I tried to get the pride flags out of the classroom. I tried to bring forward a policy. Todd Frazier backed me, just American flags and California flags. Mm-hmm. I personally, the way California is going with Newsom, I don't really want to wave a California flag, but if anybody else does, that's your choice. But, just to keep that, because then you don't have all the politics, because we've had complaints from parents, Black Lives Matter signs and safe spaces and transgender pride and all these things. And, they said no, because they believe in autonomy, and the political, leanings of the teachers can be, displayed in the classroom. So what the whole thing too is you do have this thing called viewpoint discrimination. And so what I just had a complaint. Somebody called me yesterday, and they were really upset that there's a teacher at OCSCS who has a transgender pride flag on her desk. So I'm going to have to report it to the superintendent, because this person's worried about backlash. Mm-hmm. But, the option should be okay, put a straight flag there or just take it down. But why do you need to have that?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why do you need to have that in your classroom, around your students?
I want to go back to running the district as a business. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, and this is the most unpopular issue in the United States, I think, across the world. Mm-hmm. And they call it, it's 80-20 issue. Trump says it's a 95-5 issue, and he's right. If you look at what happened to Target, with their nonsense, and Bud Light, and even the NFL in many ways, and even what happens in hockey,
Yeah.
People like just blow up
Yeah.
the social medias when they post stupidity. It's just one of the dumbest things. And then again, I go back to this woman standing in front of the graph talking about enrollment falling. You go, gosh, why is enrollment falling? Because we're still not addressing this issue and saying, okay, we're going to cut all that out.
Yep.
I mean, you could just go through each one of these things that they're doing and understand why enrollment is falling.
Yeah.
They want to blame COVID funds. They want to blame all these other things when the answer is standing right there in front of them.
It is.
Every
Absolutely, because these people were fleeing. They'd even said if this board switches, like people had emailed me, they said if this board goes back, if you and Todd lose the majority, we're out of here. So we already had all those people, but then, you have even more. And then there was other people too, who they really were being able to run a narrative, and like people that were Republican conservatives, they actually kind of churned. But then the second that Tricia voted for the flag, and then the second she talked about supporting men and women's sports, I mean, I was just, apologies everywhere. We're so sorry. We fell for it. This old woman came to my door and said Tricia was nonpartisan. I mean, and then even Tricia was saying, I'm nonpartisan. Yeah. She wouldn't answer questions. She showed up to one of my friend's house, and my friend asked her, she says, what's your views on critical race theory? She turned around and walked away. So she was just saying nothing and like letting Joey Davis run, stuff out of El Dorado, promoting her. Joey Davis gave her a campaign. Like, we had so much interference too in the schools, and so much stuff, like stuff that happened. Like I want to say in 2024, I think it was Sue Sawyer at the time. She was in charge of women in industry. She got Nancy Watkins in as a speaker, and her whole thing was politics. I'm running for Orange County Board of Education. It's Ken Williams. And you're going to put her in women in industry as a professor at Cal State Fullerton. But then your whole goal was to promote her, and that's illegal. You cannot do that on district grounds. Like right now we have Janice Lim. Janice Lim's showing up on district grounds. She's in her election year. You cannot use school grounds for your elections. We had Missy Jansen taking pictures and making it appear that these certain school sites were like supporting her. So you have all these people who are just, making these false narratives and trying to mislead the community. Like they'll do anything.
Yeah, Jenny Bremer, who created the ICE cards,
yes.
brought up using school resources. If I'm not,
I don't know if it could have been. I don't know that for a fact.
I'm gonna assume she did.
I don't know.
We don't know for sure.
I don't know, but you also too, you have there was PRA. I don't know I think they sent it to you, and you have outside entities using, using our district resources. You have the Democrat Party using students and teachers to create content and videos and materials for them. They promised some extra credit for showing up to the school board meetings to propose CRT being banned, I believe, if I'm mistaken. Cal State Fullerton was doing it. They were sending their students over here. Chapman University was sending. They're just it's wild. Just going back to Quintero, she hired somebody to follow me around. That was Tim Murray. Yeah. I saw him in Kelly's. We had to talk about that. Oh, yeah. They followed me to church and served me in church. A cease and desist from Quintero. I think she wrote it with a crayon on a restaurant napkin. I do remember reading what is the saying? Saying that she's essentially trying to convince me that she was conservative. And the same thing, like the dumbest stuff. Yeah. Just like, and then she goes and votes completely not conservative. Well, the thing too is when she filed, if I'm reading it right, because you see stuff, it goes under like anytime that you do stuff, it's obviously follows her name. So she originally was Patricia Quintero, Democrat, and then she was then she went to Tricia Quintero, NPP. And so then somebody was saying, oh no, I don't think, like they go, we're hearing rumors that Tricia's running. And so someone said, I don't know. And then they looked on her Facebook and it was wiped because she had anti-conservative and anti-Trump stuff on her Facebook page, and it all had been wiped. So that was when someone goes up, she's running. So, I mean, you have to hide that stuff. And then if you have to have Joey Davis trying to put stuff out on El Dorado, naming you PTA Person of the Year, which PTA is in bed with the California Teachers Association. Missy Jansen was a former PTA president. Marilyn Anderson, I think she said she was PTA president. I don't know. But you have all these people. And so they're all polling from these certain groups because they want people with certain ideologies on these school boards. And like, look at Barbara Buckley. during when this, Carrie, when she was at his house, OC, I think she's moved on from there. But Barbara Buckley, I think, is still the president at his house OC, which was Carrie Buck's organization. And so she was paying Carrie Buck, as president, to be the executive director because it's a nonprofit. And then, we had Carrie Buck using essentially his house. We had them using our printers to print thank you cards and all this stuff for their organization. $2.5 million from Josh Newman to his house OC. And suddenly Barbara Buckley's, who's president, is trying to run for school board here. I mean, and Josh Newman's running for state superintendent. It is all absolutely, it is all like they try to say we're trying to destroy public education. No, we're trying to actually save. Like when you see the Save Our Schools, I just go, gosh, that's so dumb. Like, you have to run these places like business and just teach the kids and do the job. Because like what we're seeing in New York right now, and I think you'll agree with me, you have a bunch of yahoos out there that are voting for Mandami. And then all of a sudden this stuff is happening. They said, wait, this isn't what was supposed to happen. This shouldn't have affected me. This was a great idea that my professor said in college. But this is what they're doing. They're just promoting communism and socialism and all these things. And then when you vote these people in and then you actually have to sit in it, they go, what the heck just happened? Yeah. Like that white chick. Yeah. Who's trying to take property away. She says, white people. A collective. Like, you're white. That chick is whiter than me. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so what? So this 21 or 22-year-old girl says, she's going to take housing away. Like, who the hell are you?
Why not?
Who are you? It's just crazy.
Well, Donnie gets in there days later, 1 or 2 days later, he raises the prices of the local transportation. You go.
And then he comes out, he says, I was briefed, and then he comes out and says, I actually don't have any federal.
I was briefed.
It was like,
briefed with my staff.
You turned on the news when the rest of us did. Oh my gosh.
You're the idiot.
So, I mean, everything he's saying, he has to backtrack, but, but they lie to get elected.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Yeah, I mean, all these Democrats just years ago were saying that Maduro had to get out. We had to go get him. We had to get rid of this guy. Biden put up a $25 million bounty on his head, and then Trump actually does it. They go, wait a minute, you can't do that. It wasn't us.
I know.
You can't do it.
I love it.
But they never would have done it. That's the whole thing. Is
it's
that
just,
they say things that they can't back up or not willing to do. And people, I cannot understand. You and I have been doing this a long time now. I mean, really active in it. Yeah. And nothing that they say do they ever follow through with.
Right.
I mean, impeachment, suspending Chernis and Gates. These are all very easy things to do, but they will never do anything that's a benefit to the community, to the children, to the country. We want lower taxes, and then they never lower taxes.
Right.
We want free buses, and we're just going to raise them a little bit.
Well, and I think too, another thing that has always been perplexing to me is, when we go in and we negotiate with the union, they never ask for smaller class sizes. Parents are asking for the union doesn't. Like, I think the union agreement is always like 38 students, which is hard. I don't even think teachers know that, because it actually is. I was talking to a friend the other day, I go, because they continue to lie. Like, I mean, I'm sure, in all these lunchrooms, the APLE will bring in lunch, and then they go and tell them how terrible the conservatives are, and they have to save our schools, and, put in Buck and Quintero and Anderson and all these people. And so, and they'll just lie to them, but it is actually like not against the law. It's actually one of the things that they do. Unions can lie to their members. There's actually a section that talks about that, because it said, how are people not getting in trouble? And so I think what happens is when you have the president, like we had Mannion for so long, telling all of her reps, you had like Mike Sayer at Esperanza, because I knocked his door for Todd Frazier. We got into a long conversation, and the stuff he was saying was just like, well, this is what I've been told. And it was completely false. Yep. And I said, well, you should probably stop saying, well, no. And then he'd say, I'm Republican. And I'd say, well, then why would you vote? Well, because I'm with the union. So it's just like they've lost all, like thought process, like independent thought. They just go and they take these marching orders, and the reps don't know if it's true. Nobody tries to, and then Lynn Mannion, I remember I tried to meet with Sue Sawyer, because Sue Sawyer, actually, she was one of my kids' teachers for a year or two. And so I said, hey, because it was so strange how you can get along with people, but then suddenly you're on the board and you become this evil person. Like you're completely different. Like you're a room mom for some person, get along great. And then all of a sudden they hate you because you're on the board.
Yeah.
And so I would try to get in and talk to you. And Linda Mannion said, she says, you do not talk to her. And it was because they didn't want them to actually come talk to me.
Hear the truth.
And hear the truth. And it's exactly what Rich Ingalls said. Rich Ingalls said when he was running, like they demonized him.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he told me that he sat down later, like parent teacher conference or something. And the teacher says, man, you're such a nice guy. Because the union told me that you were terrible and you were hateful and you were racist and all these things.
Yeah.
And so they'll say whatever they can and do whatever they can. So I just feel like it's really, seeing what we're seeing, it's really incumbent amongst our community to really do some research. And like Esperanza, the students, hold your teachers accountable. Like hold your teachers accountable. They voted for this. They promoted this. They came to board meetings and lambasted Chernus and the conservative board and lied to the community. And now you guys are seeing exactly what happens.
Yeah, they're the signs, save the schools, save this and that and the other thing. And I would ask them, save them for what?
Yeah.
Like we're seeing improvement in every area. In education, the grades are going up.
Yeah.
We're seeing kids coming back to school. We're seeing enrollment starting to increase. Actually, it's stopped declining during turn. So save it from what? Right. They just kept saying save the schools. Yeah. And people would say, save the schools.
Save the schools.
Nobody's asking from what?
Exactly.
And, from the MAGA girl.
Yeah.
And what's she doing? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. She's spending $1 million on an innovation lab.
We actually have decreasing enrollment. We're possibly losing a school. We have grades that are going back down. I mean, in California, it's 40th out of the 50 states in education. I mean, nothing is going well at all.
No.
They're spending money on a needless rebuild of a kitchen that doesn't need to be $6.7 million.
No, it does not.
We have all these things going on, and yet nobody's going out there save our schools.
Mm-hmm.
They're going, oh, what a wonderful job Anderson is doing.
Yeah.
I can't believe they got rid of Joey Davis, the most incompetent principal that we've ever had in the district, who harassed the police officer so much that they filed a hostile work environment. He's a wonderful person. They just go on with these things, and nobody ever says, okay, finally, you know what I see? You guys are the problem.
Yeah.
Anderson, Quintero, and Buck.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like it's like with this, with the whole Mussolino thing, like, because this is the most recent one, Loanne at Esperanza. You had people like, and this is the thing, like you have district employees who are parking their boats on district property. You had people using district personnel to do personal, like to move personal things, move their personal property. You had them doing all these things, and Chernus and Gates says, no, you're not allowed to do this. And so there's where the retaliation comes from. Linda Mannion is retaliating because they were holding them accountable for the CTA. We found out that we have been paying Linda Mannion to sit on her bottom at APLE for 20 something years, never be in the classroom. And why? Why? To be a political, to run politics against things. Yeah. I mean, so
the principal that was having his cars fixed and
like
worked on by the kids.
But using ASB funds. That was what was talked about, is they were using ASB funds, and like the teachers were doing it. And there is no car at Esperanza. There's not a class where you work on cars. It's manufacturing. There's a car lift, but the class does not work on cars.
What?
Yes.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah. So when you come in and when you start telling, like Loanne, that's why it stopped with Loanne. That's why Loanne got backlash. Because when you come in and you say, the stuff you're doing is against the law, and stop. You don't use district, property to park your boat. I have to pay $200 a month in storage in Arizona for my boat. I would love to go park it on district property for free. I mean, come on now. So you can't take advantage of things and do things wrong. But Chernus came in, saw the mess, was taking care of it. And so the old boys, oh crap, the homeboy hookup and the game is over. And so I don't think that Dr. Kim is going to tolerate any of this nonsense either.
I hope not. I don't know much about her, but I was going to say some things, and you say, give her a chance.
I did.
And you told me that once before, and it was a horrible thing that I followed your direction. That was Mercerino.
Mussolino?
In the beginning.
In the beginning, I thought, I was like, well, wait. And then I did some background research, and then I'm telling, and then all these things are coming forward, and he's just like, and I go, oh my gosh, this is like the most, this is incompetency.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she's from out of state. She's from a different deal. And we couldn't find anybody in this state to come here with this board majority.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't find a sitting superintendent in this state, in this county to come in for this job because of what they've been doing, superintendents. Like, and the thing too is that, and the reason I'm bringing all this forward is because this is to protect the teachers and this is to protect the principals. And this is also to protect our superintendent. If we don't investigate this and if we don't address the violations and what happens next? What happens if they don't like her and then suddenly they're releasing confidential things, having board meetings, doing all this stuff, and then they oust her? I mean, so there has to be something that says you did something wrong, like this has to stop, because I mean, it's just crazy. And then you can't just continue to, as you make claims, to just pay people thousands of dollars, to deny claims and change dates of claims and do all these things. I mean, anything they can to cover this up. Like we can't, it has to be exposed. It has to be exposed. And if I'm completely wrong, I'll admit I'm completely wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong.
No.
I don't think I am at all, because I've been sitting on this. I've been investigating for the last year. So I don't believe I'm wrong, but we should investigate it, because you have Chernus, you have Gates, you have Beth Fisher, and then now you have Loanne. So you have 4 people in the span of a year who says that they were harassed, they were forced out, they were discriminated against, and we don't do anything about it.
These are the only people that were making a difference in this school district besides you.
Well, no, okay, let's be clear. There's a lot of people making a difference. But the thing too is when you lack leadership, when you have strong leadership, then people move forward. But then when you have good leaders, but they don't have any direction, that's when everybody stays stagnant.
Then you have a lot of people that have really good ideas and want to do stuff, but they're not going to do it when there's nobody to support them. Like, why put myself out there? I'm going to get paid the same whether I do this or not. So now I just do what I have to. I just show up
and people would tell me too, I'm really hesitant to work with board majority because I'll get, the union will come after me. So it's kind of like things like we meet with people, in secret.
Okay.
In other cities.
One more question, but you got to keep it short because I got to go pick up my kids.
Okay.
Corinne wants to know about parental notification. Are they submitting information to the parents in the proper timeline, or just throwing it at the last second?
So we do have an opt-out now. And so if you don't want your kids to, like say a computer class, if you think that your kid has too much screen time and you don't want your kid to have an additional 30 minutes or an hour of screen time, you can opt your kid out and they can go read a book or do homework in the library. If you don't want SEL in the classroom, if they're doing these little SEL instructions where everybody's talking about their feelings, you can opt your kid out. You just can't opt your kid out of, like actual stuff like A through G, which kind of like goes, through high school. But if you see a book and you just oppose it, like I've seen some books come through high school that are actually on the approved book list, and I was like appalled. So if you see these books, you can opt out. It's just very, very easy. But I haven't heard anything as of late that, anything's popping up. We were seeing that in the Mussolino days, where like I think people started running amok. But I think now that Kim is here, I think it's locked down a little bit. Yeah, I think she's locked it down pretty good.
Okay. SEL. Worse than CRT. Social emotional learning, which actually SEL stands for socialist evil learning. Is all it is.
I hadn't heard that before.
I just made that up just now. But that's what it's a socialist version of teaching. It actually is. I should give you some of my books I've been learning.
Yeah.
It's just another name that they just, they give these acronyms. They make it sound like it's something good. It's
not.
It's socialist teaching is what it is. All right, Leandra, great job. I love the timeline.
The timeline,
that was really good.
I did need a good timeline to keep.
I was going to take credit for doing that.
To keep us focused.
I did what I couldn't do it.
I know. I think we answered everybody's, stuff. The walkout Friday for Esperanza students, the beach volleyball courts. Why are they not being done? OCSDS, the dual language, and things going on over there. What else was it? It was a lot about was the timeline, and a lot about it was Loanne, and I think that's where you find the destruction. is we, and that's what has to be investigated.
Yep.
You have to investigate who the district employees were and why the board majority and Mussolino allowed employees to be harassed. If you have a board who allows people to be harassed, like, why are we even doing this? It's just
right. Essentially encouraging it.
It actually is.
Because they'll go, okay, that worked. Now let's do, who's the next person we need to get up?
Well,
That'll be allowed.
And I think too, there is some correlation because Eric Paget used to work in Garden Grove. He was the board member that Sean replaced in 2020, and him and Carrie were very close. And so I heard Eric like to talk in Garden Grove, and so Loanne knew a lot of secrets. So I think that could have been another reason why could have been possible personal vendetta.
All right.
Oh, on that note,
pray for the ICE agents in Minnesota. There's a lot going on out there. Don't listen to the mayor. He's horrible.
Can you imagine?
Can
you imagine? Okay, so he should be hooked up for impeding an investigation. Because how do you go up there, tell him to get the F out of Minnesota, and then to say that this was not justified or whatever as a mayor, as an idiot mayor too.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say the R word, but as an idiot mayor, you're gonna go up there and you're gonna do that, and then the law enforcement guy that stood next to him too. How I would have had to walk away.
I don't know what's happening.
I couldn't take it
with these guys.
Yeah, but I mean that is impeding an investigation.
Absolutely. All right, my friends.
Be glad you don't live in Minnesota today.
Yeah. It's like 25 degrees.
That's true.
Cold.
At least we're in a communist place, but it's 60 degrees.
Yes. We're a little bit more comfortable in our communist dictatorship. All right, my friends. We love you guys. God bless. Take care.